assess exactly what that
What
would
are you
be.
going to do and how you're going
Every facility that needs it, do we need a new high school, or can we renovate the old high school? That'll take about a year, and then it'll take about a year to put the bond out, to factor it into the budget, and to campaign for it, pass it, and start the construction, and within 3 or 4 years, it's all done. So this is definitely a first-term commitment. I mean, if I'm elected mayor, within my first term, if only term, is to get that done. If there was nothing else that we did, getting our schools back in New London would be the top priority, I think. Because everything else flows from that. If you don't have a functional schools district, nobody wants to relocate a business. Nobody wants to be here. Nobody wants, you know.
Nobody wants to come in.
But on that note, too, I had another question, but leading on to this, not to get off of it. For education, I personally went through the New London school system, and I thought it was an excellent system way back when I went through it. And I had family that taught in the New London school system, and I really do believe, and I'm not saying you have to agree, that when you work in an inner city school, you come across different problems.
That's
and
right.
I think the teachers have to work. I'm not saying that they work harder than other teachers, but they have different
confront
issues.
unique
they confront
problems.
unique problems.
That's right.
And I think that the education that I received way back then was fabulous. I'd like to see that happen again. And aside from obviously the buildings and the funding and the curriculum, one of the things that I personally see happening is that the teachers are receiving less support in what they do and what they need and what they confront every day. And I think that's a real main thing. If we want a great education system, we have to be able to support the teachers to teach.
That's right. I think that attracting and training good teachers, because teacher training is a perpetual problem, that people are thrown in the classroom and have to learn as they go. I think better teacher attraction, retention, and training is important, but we need to not only focus on teachers, but we need to recognize that quality administration is also important, and making sure that we have good administrators, and also making sure that we have the correct balance between administrative spending and instructional spending. Because we have 23 or 24 people in the New London school system in the administrative levels who are making over $100,000 a year. Now, if you want to go out and campaign for a facilities bond, or you want to hire and retain good teachers, you got to free up some of that money. And consolidating the finance departments, which a member of the committee, Mr. Morse, has talked a lot about, I think is a great idea. We did that in Westerly to great success. I think it could be done here in New London, would save a lot of money, and also build confidence. Because when you go out to the public and say, we want you to support the school, they want to know that the money that's going to the school is going to improving education.
Is my child's school actually going to have papers and pencil this year?
Right, not 5 more administrators making $110,000.
Right,
You know, we want to know the money's getting to education. If people have that confidence, and if they see the school system embracing reform, they will be more likely to support the school system on bonds, and also support the school system on budget referendums. Because in addition to creating a new mayor in New London, what we also did is we separated the municipal budget and the school budget for purposes of a budget referendum. And if the school budget retains a lot of the excess that people see in it and doesn't embrace ideas like consolidation, guess what? It could lose funding, because people will come out, and taxpayers, rightly upset, could vote it down. So the schools have to realize that they're living in a new political reality as well. And that if they want these facilities improvements passed, if they want their budget defended, they better start embracing reform. And while I can't force the school to do that as mayor, as an ex officio member, non-voting of the Board of Education, you can bet I will be a loud, proud advocate that they better get on board with this, or they're going to run into problems.
Well, as mayor, you have a loud voice, and you can carry the big stick, as Teddy Roosevelt used to say, you know what I mean?
And the big bully pulpit.
And you can get on that bully pulpit, and you can get people active and moving on them. I mean, it isn't a powerless position, as some people think. Not when you're mayor. Not when you're as mayor. And that is the reason that we really need good leadership. There's no kidding. We need somebody who's going to go down to the State House and stand there and defend what we need here in New London. We do have a governor who's looking at New London finally.
That's
right. And knows, you know, he didn't get in by a landslide.
No, and he got in with New London's help.
He got, believe me, we know. We work very hard.
And I'm sure you remind him of that fact.
We do. You know, and we want to make sure that obviously we believe he's going to hear us, and we believe he's a friend.
He is.
Different than
And it's
than
not
we've
just
had.
and it's not just political
No,
reality,
no,
it's real.
It's real.
He's a mayor.
Exactly.
He was
right.
a mayor for 16
Exactly
years.
right.
He knows what's going on
He
in
knows,
cities.
he knows.
And the president as well, President Obama and the Obama administration, I mean, the Secretary of Education was the schools chancellor in Chicago.
Chicago,
Arnie
right.
Duncan.
One of the
Right.
toughest
And the
places in
president
country,
was a
yeah.
community
Yeah.
organizer dealing with the poorest of the poor in inner city Chicago. We have a federal administration as well that is uniquely attuned to what's going on in cities. We have a governor who is uniquely attuned to what's going on in cities. And they both politically need Connecticut and New London in particular to their own political ends. So it's a best of both worlds.
It is. It can be.
On policy, they're on our side.
That's right.
But it's also good politics for them to
It's
be on
good
our side.
politics,
So
too.
if we have a good mayor who goes out and tries to get their support, I think that that can be done, particularly
too.
if they have confidence that that mayor is running the kind of city where that money's not going to be wasted, where it's not a pay-to-play city,
That's
or there's
right.
no hanky-panky going on.
exactly
If
right.
they
Agenda.
feel
Yeah.
this
No
mayor's
personal
clean,
agendas.
Yeah.
Personal
No.
agendas
Knows
are
what
not going to
they're
make
doing.
it anymore.
Another, my
exactly
question.
right. Oh, go ahead
This
with
is,
your question.
okay, I don't want to misquote, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here.
No, go right ahead.
This has really been big for me for years. I do believe that in an interview you said, I know there are powerful interests that will resist reform and change, and improvements are long overdue. There are obstructionists within the local government who need to put their egos aside. I've been saying for a very long time that New London, for some reason, has been run by the same group who don't want change. 50 years, 100 years, if their families were born and bred here, they want to maintain. I personally call it like the old boys club. I could be wrong. They do not want change. They do not want to be voted out of government. They want to maintain it. And for some reason, they've been able to maintain this stronghold where so much change is needed. I'm just wondering what you think of that and how you respond to that.
How I
And that's
respond
my
to that
opinion,
is
but-
that there is a magic bullet. There is a magic bullet to kill the monster, ladies and gentlemen. And the magic bullet is called a strong mayor. And that's why I say to people, and I mean it, you know, I've been in a lot of campaigns, I've watched a lot of campaigns, and every politician running for every office will tell you that their election is the most important election in the history of the world, okay?
That's right.
But listen, here in New London, this election is one of the most important elections that people in New London are ever going to vote in, period, end of sentence. Because for the first time, the majority of the people are going to be able to choose their executive leadership for the first time in 100 years in the city of New London. And that person, whoever it is going to have the authority to move beyond the old instrumentalities and the old factions because they're going to be above it. They're going to have the power to move an agenda. And this is a unique opportunity. But the opportunity comes once. And this is a point that I disagree with the New London Day on, and even disagree with Father on, is that, you know, people will say, oh, we'll get you out in 4 years. Well, maybe, but look around the country. Look at strong mayor forms of government. Once that person's elected, they negotiate all the contracts. They appoint people without council approval, and they control all this hiring. They are the incumbent. They prepare the budget. They control the permits. Listen, they don't get voted out. It's very rare that a strong mayor gets voted out. More often, they either stay till they retire, or the only way they go out before that is in a federal criminal corruption case.
Corruption case.
And that's it. And we've seen it, and we know it. So right here, right now, the people have an opportunity, before power consolidates around this office, to get someone in it who can be above the old factions and the status quo. So guess what, folks? We got to do it. Now, what I said, and what you quoted there was from my announcement speech on January 2nd, is I wanted people to know that I'm very idealistic. I believe that we can solve these problems. I believe New London is a great city and it can be a fantastic city. But I don't want people to think I'm naive. I don't want people to think I've never been around politics before. I know that there are powerful people who are going to stop at nothing to make sure that change does not come to New London. And what I want people to know is that we're prepared to work very hard to get that vote out. We are prepared to work very hard to stand strong on what we believe is right. And we're not going to be bullied. We're not going to be bought out. We're not going to sell out. we're not going to stop. And people need to know that, because a lot of people come to me and say, well, what happens when they offer you a job? Say, what happens when they offer you some other political office? What happens when they offer you this, or they threaten you with that, or they hit you in the paper with some dirt or some trick or some whatever? And I tell everybody, I am not just running to win an office, I'm running to change New London. I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to be intimidated by any of the BS.
Well, you're
It's
absolutely
that
right, because New
simple.
London can be a wonderful city again, and the people that
Absolutely.
have maintained this stronghold for so many years, for some reason, haven't wanted it to change.
No, because of their own interest.
Their own
in what-
agenda, and I
and they've-
understand it, but
But
it's
a
not-
lot
it's
of
not benefiting
but a lot of
particularly.
people are
Right.
not bad
No,
I'm
it's
saying
that are
not
in the
bad.
establishment.
No,
It's
no.
that
No, no.
if you're a businessman and you see everybody else
And-
working the levers, if you don't work the levers,
You're gonna
out
lose.
of business.
Right.
Right.
So I think there are a lot of people in New London that have been part of the system because that was the way the
That's
system
the way
was.
it works.
But if
Plus,
given
And that's the way they.
They had to
Right.
do to survive.
but if given the opportunity to break from that,
I think they
Oop.
will.
I
Maybe
hope.
they'll. Hope they will.
they will.
I'm sorry I lost you, caller. I'm getting down. We only have a few. Well, I lost a caller. Okay, I don't
Sorry
like
there.
to do that. Well, that
I was talking
happens.
too much. It happened.
Well, and we're getting close to the end. We've got a few minutes. I do want to give you. I want to give you 2 minutes to say whatever you want to the public out there.
Sure.
And obviously, I'm going to thank you right now, just in case we go off the air, for coming. And
Oh, hey.
it's really good.
No, it's great to be
really,
here.
Really good.
Thank you. It was
It's
wonderful to finally
it's
meet
wonderful
you,
to
too.
meet you too, and it's great to be on the show. And I will tell the people who called in, thank you to Dennis and Gail and Clayton. Thank you very, very much.
And the few I missed.
The election that we're going into is very critically important for all the reasons that we've been discussing. We need you to get involved. I understand that people are busy, that we have families, we have lives, we have jobs. It's very, very hard. I have a job too, and I have a family too. And we're putting a lot into this campaign. And I know people don't have a lot of money to give, or you may not have a lot of time, but the one thing I'm asking you to do is register to vote. Register to vote in the Democratic primary and vote. And that primary is going to be September 13th. And boy, oh boy, we need you. Because in the past, less than 1,000 people have voted in that primary. Now think about running for president. Think about running for governor. It's hundreds of thousands, millions of votes. In this race, it's a couple hundred votes. A couple hundred votes on September 13th could determine the future of this city. And we all know that things have to change. So here's our chance. So if you do nothing else, contact our campaign, contact Father Russ. We'll help you get registered to vote and vote. And no, I'm not even telling you who to vote for. I'm just telling you to go vote, because this one is really, really going to count.
Absolutely, and they all know my position on this. We've said it before. I really want to thank you for staying with me, all my listeners, all the people that get out. And we know that this is the bullet. This is the time. Daryl's right, and he might have misunderstood me. I know, because being from Newton, when Mayor Mann got into Newton, he retired out of Newton. Okay, it takes dynamite to get anybody out. Once you get in there, you're in there for a long time, and you can change things. And we can change things, and we have the opportunity. So we got a long campaign, and we can do it. And I want to say good night. Thank you. Bonnie will be back with us. She's going to be filling in for Tambria. God bless you, Tambria. Hope you're doing okay. And Gail, a good night, and I'll see you next week.
Don't forget the pizza.
Okay, amen. We'll get the pizza.